Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's going on?
This is Tony.
And I'm Jenny.
And this is the Lido Loca Cruise Podcast. It's episode 8.
Episode 8?
Episode 8. Jenny, we've been on a 2-week hiatus.
We have been, but what kind of journey have we been on?
We've been on a journey. We have moved La Lido Loca from Charlotte, North Carolina, down to Spring Hill, Florida.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of cruise country.
The HQ has moved.
Right in the middle of cruise country. We can get to 5 different cruise ports within 6 hours.
How exciting is that?
6 hours by car, even quicker by aeroplane.
Aeroplane?
Yes.
Probably a little cheaper flights, too.
Yeah, I think we can fly from Tampa to Miami, and it's like $100 or something.
That's
crazy.
great.
Something crazy. All right, so episode 8. We haven't talked in a little bit, and, moving can be stressful. Cruising can be stressful. Vacation can be stressful. Relationships can be stressful. And sometimes you can get into a fight in all these, stressful situations. Never. It might not be us, but there are times that people get into arguments. They fight during vacation. And so our main topic today, we're going to talk about why people get in fights on vacation.
Yeah. I think you've mentioned before, though, one of our biggest fights, because we don't really argue much. I think we...
Because I know when to keep my mouth shut.
That's right. No. No, I think you mentioned before that was one of our biggest fights.
Which one?
Was on a cruise.
I don't know if it's one of our biggest fights ever, but I do remember a big fight we had on our first cruise, and we'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk a little bit about some cruise news. We're going to talk... There's a lot of stuff. Look, instead of laying out all the topics, I say we just go for it.
Let's go.
Let's just go for it. So let's talk about why people get in fights on vacation or get in fights on cruises. There was some study that came out. This one doesn't necessarily apply to us, but they surveyed like 1,000 people that were going on vacation. Doesn't seem like a whole lot of people. But the number one reason that they got into arguments on vacation is because they were upset that their partner was working too much.
Really?
I wouldn't have thought that would have been the thing.
Like when you used to work, corporate world, like it was a little distressful sometimes.
Yeah, but I never remembered, like, it just, I guess we just accepted it that sometimes you'd have to get on and work. Now, what we do now, since we basically work and travel and we film on cruises, it's all a little work play.
It is. And you know what? We make a good mixture.
Yeah.
Like we vacation, but we're also working and, it's fine.
Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to live this cruise life. And if that means I have to work a little bit on my cruise, I don't care. And I think you're the same way. So for us, work is not one of those issues that we tend to fight about on the cruise.
No, and I feel like, I like working anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not, we do a good mixture.
We do a good
balance.
mix. We got a cool job. And so, yeah, it's not like, I guess if I was still working corporate IT and I was in the middle of a cruise ship somewhere and I was trying to get a network somewhere across the world to come back up or interface with some sort of technical support, that
I would be frustrated.
You would be frustrated.
Absolutely.
I would be frustrated. But, now when work involves making sure you get a shot of the sunset, make sure you run up for the sail away party, it's not really that bad of work, No. And it's all part of that cruise life.
Exactly.
I'll tell you one place that we do fight in vacation and just normally is you're like the worst backseat driver.
What?
I'm just going to say it. You don't sit in the back seat. You sit in the passenger seat. And I don't know when my car was equipped with all these extra controls, but over in the passenger seat, there's extra.
I'm the co-pilot.
There's like brakes and there's extra steering wheel. I don't know. Maybe they're just imaginary, but man, I tell you, I have been annoyed on the road before, and you've been annoyed too because. Honestly, you don't think I pay enough attention when I drive. And then honestly, for me, I feel like all your weird noises and jumping out of your seat and slamming on the brakes from the passenger side, I feel like it's going to cause us an accident at some point.
And I have to laugh because I know exactly what you're talking about, right? And as soon as I do it, I'm like, oh man, he's going to get mad or it's going to make him more nervous.
But the weirdest thing, when we get into that kind of tiff, so I'll be driving and somebody will so we'll be like in a 3-lane road, right? And I'll be in the left lane, and I'll just be driving straight, and then somebody will switch lanes on us, and you'll be like, and I'll be like, what happened? You know, and it freaks me out a little bit. And it's just somebody changing lanes. For example, there are times that I have driven into the blind. So, I mean, I'll be transparent here. I don't always drive perfectly, but you got to admit there are times when you make noises for no reason or reasons that aren't really that impending doom.
All right. For like, maybe for you, they are for no reason.
Yes.
But for me, there's always a reason.
I guess, but man, it's so distracting. Like, I never have any trouble driving by myself.
Well, because
This is my point of reference. I've never been afraid while I was driving by myself. But sometimes when we drive together and I'm driving, I'm petrified.
well, and maybe it's also because you have, you know, such a lovely piece of luggage with you.
You called yourself luggage?
Yeah.
You're not luggage, Jenny. You're my precious cargo.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of luggage too.
I don't know. So, I mean, we've gone whole road trips where we stopped talking for like 4 hours over car driving arguments.
And isn't that the best time?
No, it's not. because I'm driving, right? And usually what you'll do is you'll go to sleep on me, right?
Right.
You'll freak me out. Then you'll get mad because I get upset, and then you'll go to sleep. So I'm just in the passenger, I'm in the driver's side trying to drive, freaked out, mad, and listening to you sleep.
And then that makes you a worse driver.
It doesn't make me a worse driver. I'm an excellent driver. It just makes me an angry driver.
All right. So what about when I'm driving and you're like, "Ooh, don't you think you're a little too close?" I mean, like, do you do those things on purpose because I do it to you?
Pretty
Okay,
much.
That's what I thought.
So like you're a horrible tailgater, Jenny.
What?
But I don't know. I don't do this. I don't make these crazy big noises like you do.
But you do sometimes. And I think it's to maybe get back at me.
No.
I think so.
That's fair for you to think that, but I try not to do anything distracting because I really do feel like that's dangerous.
But I'm an excellent driver, you have to admit.
Other than the tailgating and the multiple lane changes and cursing out everybody on the road, I mean, I think you're a fine driver.
I am. I'm a great driver.
Sounds like who's the better driver, you or me?
So I think that I think you have more patience than I do. So you may be the better driver if
What?
you would pay more attention.
How much attention do you have to pay?
You have to pay attention to the road.
Do I ever look at my phone while I'm driving?
No.
Do you ever look at your phone while driving?
Like I'll look at it to shut it off.
So you gave me a quick no, but yours was yes because you know you look at your phone while you're driving.
But I don't text. I don't do any of
No,
that.
you just
though.
read texts and emails and.
No, I don't.
No.
I'll try to put on my music, that kind of stuff, but
Jenny, you got to be honest on the podcast.
I don't look at my phone. If I'm at a stoplight, I will look at my phone.
The truth comes out.
Well, I mean, it's a stoplight. It's fine.
We could get in a fight over driving right here.
I mean, we can do it right now if you want.
You already said I was the better driver, that
All
I
right,
don't
so
look at my
this
phone.
but this is like when the kids were learning how to drive, right?
Yes.
Like I always said, I have the skill, but Tony has the patience, so you were the better trainer.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, that's the truth.
So you're a more skillful driver than I am?
Absolutely. Even though you had to drive me to work in the snow and the ice. You may have more skill when it comes to that.
So this is one of those moments where you're in a conversation and you can see the edge of the cliff and you could just go right over it. Or you could just back off. I think I'm just going to back off the cliff.
Let's back off and move on to the next.
Let's get to the next one. Now, this is one. So the cruise ship is filled with people who can be attractive.
Right.
They can be fun to look at. I know you spent a lot of time looking at a cruise director on one of our previous cruises. And
you got mad.
I did not get
You
mad.
absolutely did.
Here's the thing. Here's what got me mad on that cruise. Now, it's not just this instance with the cruise director, but I do think people get mad. We saw other people get mad because you could tell like a dude was looking at another girl. You could tell that people were looking with each other.
Right.
And so
like ours was just kind of goofy.
It was kind of goofy, but this is where I did get mad over this cruise director thing. On every cruise previously, we made sure that we took a picture together with the cruise director.
Right.
But you went out of your way to take a picture with this cruise director by yourself.
Because I didn't know where you were.
So why wouldn't you wait till we were together and get another picture?
Well, because what if we didn't? Like, look at it on the sunrise. We were leaving the ship when we got our picture.
Right.
Because sometimes they're not accessible.
You're just not being honest right now. You just wanted a picture with Matt Mitchum.
I mean, that's okay.
See. So this is another place there, you know, it's probably like that on land too. If you catch your honey taking a look-see a little too long, staring at somebody that might be attractive, there could be a little jealous rage. And people, it doesn't really hit us.
It doesn't happen to us like that, but we've seen people in action.
We've seen people get mad at you. Like, I mean, what are you looking at?
Yeah. And I mean, my thought process is, you know, you could look, and because I've seen you look.
That's not very fair. I do not look at people. I've worked really hard in my life not to look at people.
Well, I mean, like when you look at Matt Mitchum.
Yeah, but that's a joke.
Right.
But you're not joking when you're looking at Matt Mitchum.
Oh, absolutely I am.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting episode, folks.
First of all, let's just put it out there, right? Like, I have no eyes for anybody else but you.
I do believe that.
And, like, we're super confident in our relationship.
We are super confident in our relationship.
Like, that we don't.
So you're saying it's okay to look? Is that what it?
No.
Is that what I got out of this?
No.
You're saying it's okay to look?
No, I mean, like, why don't you just look at your married guide to cruising?
I didn't talk about looking. Oh, yeah.
It absolutely
the
did.
Sunglasses. Now, that was a joke, Jenny.
Was it?
Yes. You got it.
That's not your trick.
How many times have I worn sunglasses on the cruise ship? Hey, that's a good idea. I need to order some sunglasses.
That's right. Well, especially living in Florida, you do need some sunglasses.
That's an interesting conversation. When you're in a place where people are putting themselves out there, where they're dressed like on formal night, where they're dressed a little more attractively, or when they're out at the pool,
sometimes it's hard not to look.
Should you look? Should you not look?
I mean, sometimes it's hard to not go through like the Lido deck, like where the pool is, and not be. I mean, like. You can't just look down. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to.
There's got to be a line somewhere between you just noticing people and it being creepy, right? And I guess everybody has to figure out what that line
right?
is.
Like, we notice people, right? Because sometimes, you know, people just put it out there, right? And you're like, wow. Yeah. But
are you talking about the Speedo guys? Because they just put it out there.
I mean, you know. And you know what? That's it. Like, you're on vacation. Who cares? Whatever goes. I get it. And it's hard to not look. So we don't get upset. Yeah. But we've seen people like in action on in that quest that one time. Yeah. Like, I really thought that, I mean, it was going to go down.
Yeah. So the story that Jenny's referencing is, you know, we go to the Quest game show, which is kind of an adult-oriented game show. And it really challenges people to step out of their comfort zone, right? It gives people an hour to participate in some non-normal, activities, right? Like this is what happens in the Quest is not something that you see in everyday life. But yes, we did, we were at one Quest and we saw a couple where in the beginning of the Quest, they were both excited to be a part of it. And then at one point, I guess one of the people in the couple crossed the line and the other person got really mad.
Which just kind of like it was a double standard.
Right.
It really was. Like the husband was involved with the Quest. And then as soon as his wife got involved, he did not like that.
Well, he was encouraging her, but then her attention shifted from the husband to other places and he got mad.
Well, because she was participating.
Right.
Like, and he couldn't see that. But, whatever.
People get uptight about it.
And I really felt bad for them because her parents were there.
Oh, yeah.
You remember? And, like, that was just, it was bad. And then, like, to see them on the ship afterwards, I was like, wow.
That's true. That argument carried on beyond the Quest,
yeah.
Right? Like the guy got mad. He left the Quest show, and then we saw them later in the casino, and they were still
They
were
were still arguing.
And I guess that's what I want to say at this point. Like, you spend all this money to go on a 7-day cruise or a 5-day cruise or something like that. You got to work on letting it go, right? Because you have such a limited time for your vacation, and, you know, being mad most of it's not any good.
No. And you know what? You spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to ruin it?
Yeah. Why do you want to ruin it?
You know, and
with an
listen,
argument?
there's so many things to do on a cruise ship. Walk away.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Go do your thing.
But sometimes walking away will make the person mad too.
Yeah. Like if I walked away from you, if we were trying to discuss something.
Oh, the same. If I walked away
Right.
from you. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be fuming.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just going to go do my own thing.
Well, I think if I put it this way, and if I said, Tony, I'm going to walk away before this escalates to something we don't want it to be. Go do your thing, and then I'll see you later.
Yeah.
How would you take that?
Oh, I would just go and...
You would follow me, right?
No, I would just leave. I would just go do something else. Maybe you'd see me the same day, or maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. Whatever.
You'd be go looking.
That's right. So yeah, on the list I put acting too crazy. That's one of those examples, and you know we've seen it before where, you know, we talk about sometimes when you're doing you're getting your party on when you're drinking a little bit. There's that spot where drinking's fun, and then there's a spot where you've drank too much and you're kind of in the danger zone. As a couple, what's horrible is when you're in the fun spot and then the other person is in the danger zone.
Right.
Because it's not that fun. Like if somebody is like if your partner is way too inebriated, way too drunk, and you're trying to take care of them, it's a buzzkill.
Right. Like I think what we try to do is like if we know that we're going to be drinking,
yeah,
you'll drink and I won't, or like I'll drink and you don't, right? Or like we'll just have few, or
it depends. Like if you know, that's true if we're driving around for, you know, if we have to go somewhere, one of us will drink and the other one won't drink if there's driving involved. I'm just thinking, you know, sometimes you see people where, you know, their partner just gets out of control. Like, you know, if they'll get way aggressive, right? So everybody's having a good time, but then that one person's way too drunk and they want to fight everybody.
Yeah, and
or,
you just want those people to leave.
Or your partner wants to, you know, be flirtatious with everybody. All of a sudden it went from a lot of fun to like, why is my girl... And I've never really had this with you, but, you know, I've seen it out there. You see a guy looking at his girl like, why is she flirting with everybody? Now I'm mad if I'm that guy, you know? And so it's you gotta watch your craziness when you get a little... I think fights start that way.
Absolutely. And I think that's what that couple in the Quest was
I do think that's what happened with that couple. Another thing that I heard or I saw in some research is that a lot of times, even on vacation, couples will argue about money. I guess there's a lot of like neither one of us are crazy shoppers, and so I don't see this happening. But there's a lot of ways that you can buy stuff on cruise ships, expensive stuff. So I could imagine if you know, if you're not down with your partners, you know, buying thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, that could be stressful.
I would think so, right? Like I couldn't imagine you know, going on the cruise ship and I don't know, going into the camera store or something like that, and you know, be like, why didn't you just buy that when we were home?
Yeah, you pop up the account on the TV or something, and there's thousands of dollars of spending or whatever,
or jewelry, or you know, something like that. Like and listen, like I know, like we're super like budget conscious when we're on the cruise, you know. So like even if I take an extra 20 or 40 for the casino after I've, you know, reached my budget for the day, I'm like, oh no,
that's
I better make sure I tell Tony.
That's really the only risk for us because, you know, sometimes the temptation at the casino is once you blow through your budget to get some more money, and the easiest way really to get some more money is on that sailing sign. We like to go to the casino with cash, but I don't get mad for anything that's kind of cruise related, right? Like you're buying coffee, you're buying drinks, maybe you're having a specialty lunch or a specialty dinner. Any of that stuff hits my sailing sign. I don't really care because that's part of the cruise. But all of a sudden, like if a purchase from the Tiffany store showed up on there, I'd be like, what's going on here? You know, and that's funny because, you know, it could be the specialty dining could cost more. Well, I don't know what would cost less than specialty dining at the Tiffany store, but if it was a bag or something like that, it's so funny how you start questioning that kind of stuff. Oh, we spent $100 for specialty dining, but somebody bought a $30 bag, that's when you go, what's up with the bag? It's so weird how those things are different,
Right. And I think a lot of times your relationship on land is also of course it pulls over into the cruise life, but I think we're both very respectful of our budget and our finances. So we thank goodness don't have to fight about that.
Yeah. So like for me, I always try to just be as upfront with everything.
Right.
Even if it means I'm going to get a weird look or a heavy sigh or something like that. I'd rather know that I said, like some people say, take action and ask forgiveness or something like that, like do it and then ask for forgiveness. Me, I'm like, I'm just going to say it and we'll go through the grief on the front end, because then that way you're kind of free and clear on the activity.
That's what you think.
What do you mean that's what I think?
Well, yeah.
What?
No, you have to, it's not even like I just react for that moment, right? It's like a week-long process that you have to go through.
I still think it's better.
Do you really need that?
I still think
I cannot believe that you think you need that.
Yeah, I still think it's better to go through all that than just like you walk into a room or something and go, oh, where did that $1,000 thing come from? Oh yeah, well,
Oh yeah, no.
I'd rather
that wouldn't fly.
I'd rather talk it out.
It wouldn't fly for both of us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty loose though when it comes to. I don't really care about too much stuff like that. But,
okay.
So
let me go find the debit card.
You've always had.
I'll see you later.
The only reason you've never had your the only reason when you don't have your debit card is because you've lost it. It's not like it's chained up somewhere.
Whatever.
Yeah. Have you seen my debit card? Oh, you lost the thing that has control of all of our money again? No, I haven't seen it. I'm gonna put a chip in you. What the heck?
I love when I cancel my debit card and then I find it.
That's happened more than once. Yes. So this is one where I think we do get. So one of my favorite things about the cruise life is that on a cruise, there's so many things to do that, in theory, people can do different things and not be upset that they're not doing stuff together.
Right.
In theory. And for the most part, that works out for us. But we have had multiple times of tension, not full-on fights, of where we wanted to do different things and the other person got uptight about it.
Right.
And so that's weird. So I do think that's the one way that people fight on a cruise is they want to do different things and they get mad because their partner doesn't want to do the thing with them.
Right.
Why is that, Jenny?
Because, I don't think that I'm super selfish about the time at all.
Nobody said you were selfish. What are you talking about?
No,
I'm just saying, like, there's times where, here's an example. I'll get up and I'll get ready.
Right.
And you won't be ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go out and do something, and you'll be like, oh, you just need to wait for me to get ready.
Or most of the time I just say, go ahead.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You don't. Now no, you don't.
Are you serious?
There's been many times where you give me such a hard time. But whenever you're ready to do something, you'll just go out and do it and just leave me wherever I'm at.
That is not true.
That's 100% true.
My goodness.
That's 100% true.
No way.
This is why we fight. Like, Jenny doesn't want to talk about it now, but this is a reality that I have to deal with.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious. You don't remember these things?
And what about when, like, there's things that I just don't want to do, but then I get the, okay, just go do your thing.
I don't do that.
Really?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm happy to do stuff by myself on the cruise. I'm not the one that's uptight about it.
Oh, what happened at that port that one time?
At Key West, right?
Yeah.
This is before I realized that this is the way it was going to be. So when we went to Key West, you didn't want to do anything that anybody else wanted to do. No,
because I am super... This is what I felt that day, I think. It was
Folks, this was our biggest fight ever.
Right.
And it was in this... The cool thing is we try to take these fights that we have and try to get something out of it. And what we got on our very first cruise as we had this fight is we just did have the realization that everybody doesn't have to do the same thing. And it's okay.
Right. And I think that's what happens sometimes with me. I feel like I just go with the flow kind of thing. And I just do whatever you want to do or what everybody else wants to do. And I never really say, no, I just don't want to do that.
Right.
And I feel like I think that day I was just so upset in the fact that you didn't really want to do anything I wanted to do, but you wanted to go do everything everybody else wanted to do. And the people that we were with, it was our brother-in-law, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they had one itinerary, right? Like to get, I think t-shirts or something. I can't even remember. But I was just like, why do I always have to do what everybody else wants to do? How come nobody can do what I want to do for once?
Wow, that's interesting.
Like, that's really how I felt that day.
Really? So this is the way that I feel. I feel like that I only ever do the only thing that you want to do. Like, even on that day, I wanted to do whatever you, like, we went and got gelato because that's what you wanted to do.
Right, but that was after we were already a little...
I wasn't mad at all at that point.
There was tension a little bit.
Not on my part.
Okay.
No, like, because even on that day, I'm like, what do you want to do?
Right.
And then there was finally something I wanted to do, and you were just huffing and puffing like, oh, I don't want to do this. And so what I felt like... Are you
talking about the clam shack?
Yeah, what I felt...
Oh, my goodness.
What I felt like I did is I spent all day doing exactly what you wanted to do, and then the one time that I wanted to go do something, it was a problem.
I think it was because we were on that bus, and then you waited till we got back, and then we had to walk like an hour, like a mile and a half.
Right.
Back and forth, and it was like 100 degrees out.
But we had to walk like a half a mile to get your gelato, which you were happy to do.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's the weird thing. So for me, I do feel like...
And these are very rare instances because you usually are so gentle and kind with me.
I can't believe you said you don't feel like you ever get to do what you want to do. Like, all I ever do is ask you what you want to do.
No, I just said at that moment, like that day, that's how I felt.
I don't know, Jay. So this is one I struggle with still. Like, so this is my approach to cruising now. I just want to go and you do what you do and I do what I do, but sometimes we get mad at each other even trying to do that.
So Key West, I thought it was like, I don't know.
That's the interesting thing. So it reveals a lot here. Again, this is something that we've kind of resolved and we're not mad at each other
absolutely,
on.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how reality is perceived differently by everybody.
Right.
Right? Like I've got one reality, you got one reality, and the whole cool thing about relationships are trying to work those realities out together.
Right.
But I do think the takeaway is, and why we like cruising is now we will say, just go do what you want to do. Like I don't expect you to do anything with me on the cruise ship.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No. So like I expect like us to...
Well, like we have dinner together. But I don't expect us to do stuff together.
No, but because I know you think like that, I try to do things that you like to do.
But here's the thing. I don't want you to do anything that you're going to huff about or make a face about.
And I don't, because it's just not like when we go to look, like there's some shows that I don't want to sit through.
Right.
But I sit there because I want to be with you.
Right.
So that, like, there are some times that I just want to sit there with you because I want to be with you. I want to enjoy looking at you having enjoyment. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this one's still evolving.
Is it?
Yeah. I think this one's still evolving. But that is why I like cruising, because it's not a big deal.
Nah, and I love the fact that, like, if I just want to go sit in the casino, you're like, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's no reason to chain somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
And as long as everybody's happy at the end of the day, like it should work both ways. Like if I say, look, I'm just going to go do my own thing, you shouldn't get upset just the same way if you say you're going to go do your own thing, I shouldn't get upset.
Right.
There shouldn't be a double standard.
But there is.
I don't get upset when you go do whatever you want to do.
No.
Oh, you get upset when I go. Oh. I'm glad you said it, not me. So related to that is there can be circumstances where you only do something that that one person wants to do.
I don't think we do that.
We don't do that too much, but I have seen people in fights because you can tell that the other person wants to go do something and the other person won't give it all. Like the other person insists that person has to be with them, and then they're only going to do what the one person wants to do.
Right. And listen, everybody's relationship works differently than yours and I's, or, the next person.
I'm just thinking about, I saw this lady in the buffet one time, and she kept saying, I wonder what they have, in the main dining room.
All right.
And the husband kept going, it doesn't make any difference. We just eat the buffet. And you could tell that the lady wanted to go try the main dining room. And the husband's like, look, I just don't do that. I'm not doing it. I'm just eating the buffet. And I'm like, wow.
See, and
I guess I understand she wouldn't want to go eat by herself in the main dining room, but you think the guy would at least one time be like, all right, let's go try it.
Right. And listen, that's the beauty of you, right? Because there's a lot of things, like I'm kind of quirky, right? So there's a lot of things that I know that you may not want to do, but you will try them for me.
I will, yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff.
Like
and
tea time.
You've turned me on to a lot of great things. I enjoy tea time, and I don't know that I would have gone to do that, on my own. And we do a lot of, the cool thing about going on the ship is there's no pain point in trying stuff. If you go to tea time and you don't like it, you don't ever have to go to tea time again.
Right.
And I'm really big on, I'm not going to say I don't like something until I try it.
Right.
Right. To me, that's limiting in life. I was like that for a while, and I finally overcame that. Oh, I'm not going to try that because it doesn't, I don't think that would be fun.
Right.
Well, have you ever tried it? No, but that just can't be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'll try anything at least once, right? And
that's what I appreciate about you.
Yeah. So, and then what else do people get in fights about? I don't know. I think that's it. And people can get snippy too. The thing.
And I get snippy. I'll listen. We're putting it all out here, so
that's right.
Like I'm super snippy in the morning. And Tony is so, and what I love about the cruise, right, is like Tony will go up and he'll have breakfast. I'll still be sleeping, but he always comes back and he'll have me a cup of coffee and like maybe a little croissant or something. Like he's just so gentle, and sometimes I'm like that monster, like, what do you want? Leave me alone.
Honestly, it's self-preservation. Like I just don't, I wake up happy. Right.
Absolutely.
And I will stay happy until some circumstance or some environment makes me not happy. And so what I'm always trying to do, this is my life philosophy, I'm trying to extend that period where I'm not feeling like I'm going to not be happy.
Right.
And so I know that if I wake up before you, if I can maybe give you some coffee or give you a little bite to eat, that might extend that window.
That's right.
Of happiness. No, it doesn't always last very long, but that's what I'm always trying to do. So
I thought I'd bring you happiness 24 hours a day.
But look, I'm not trying to be a saint here. It's not that I'm like some benevolent. I like to see you happy, obviously, but there's a selfish component to it because I just want to extend my window of happiness.
And that's fine, right? That's what makes relationships work.
Yes. Now, would it be great if you were just happy with me in the morning without coffee or a croissant? Yes, that would be.
I mean, I sometimes wake up and, I'm happy.
I
feel always
I marked
super
one
blessed.
day back in, 2007
serious?
when that was the.
No, and as we get older, right, like, I'm just super thankful that, I have another day.
Like couples therapy today, doesn't it? How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? Yeah, so again, cruising is great. And what's good, and it's not easy. It's not easy work. Talking about this stuff helps. I know it's not fun to talk about it, but sometimes in talking about it, you get realizations and stuff like that. And so even if you're out there and you're getting ready to embark on any kind of vacation, cruise vacation, something like that, it's kind of good to set the framework. Like we've started cruises where we said, look, this may be one of those cruises where we don't do a lot together. I'm not uptight if and you say you're not uptight, and you kind of just lay the groundwork so you don't have wrong expectations going into it.
Right. And you know what? Like going back to the Key West thing, right? That was our first cruise.
Yeah, we didn't have any idea.
Our nerves were, it was odd anyway.
Yep.
We wanted to pack in as much as we could in that port. And, then my nerves were also a little stressed out. Like, are we going to make it back to the ship?
Yeah.
We got to hurry up, and I think that's probably we don't do that anymore, right? Like my nerves are a little bit better when we're at port because we have a better idea of what happens and what occurs, you know?
It was a weird circumstance because that was the cruise that we got on and the cruise ship was broken.
Right.
And they said we were going to cruise to nowhere. And then when we woke up the next day, they said, oh, yeah, tomorrow we're going to be in Key West, Florida. And we were going to go to Cozumel. And we had a little loose plan for Cozumel, right? Like we had thought about it for months in advance or however long in advance, weeks in advance. What will we do in Cozumel? We had conversations with our shipmates. What are we going to do in Cozumel? So we thought about Cozumel. So now when we're going to Key West, we've got like 12 hours and we don't have any internet because we thought let's disconnect, right? This is back in our we did it once. Let's disconnect. Let's be free from the shackles of the internet. And they're like, all right, you're going to Key West. And we're like, well, what can we do in Key West? And it's like, I don't know. Let's look it up. Oh, no, we don't have any internet. And so we had like 12 hours of going, what should we do in Key West? Oh, I don't know. We don't know what's there. And so then it's one of those situations where we've never got off a cruise ship before.
Right.
So we get off the cruise ship. That's, like you said, that's stressful. And then all of a sudden there's a guy at the pier. Okay, do you want to do this? Okay, hey, you want to do this? We can go to these 5 places. All right, I don't know. Do you want to go to these 5 places? I don't know. Let's go to these 5 places. Okay, we're going to go to these 5 places. So then we're on a bus somewhere. Like, oh, should we get off at this stop? Do we want to take a picture in front of the thing? I don't know. You want to get off the bus? I don't want to get off the bus. You want to get off the bus? Like everything was unplanned.
Right.
And everything was that conversation between 4 people.
And we were all 4 of us were super excited to be there.
We were excited to be.
And like we all were excited, like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that.
And honestly, we don't like to walk. And so we got off the cruise ship and we had to walk a mile almost to the bus. So for people who don't want to walk and people that don't do well in the sun, we thought we were going to get off of Cozumel. We were going to take a cab somewhere. No, we're walking a mile. This is our first time getting off a cruise. You don't know what kind of walk is there. That's why we make the video saying you're going to walk. So we get off the video, you walk a mile. We get off the cruise ship, you walk a mile, and all of a sudden we're in line for a bus. Already kind of like, dang, it's hot.
Yeah,
I just walked a mile.
It was so hot.
What stop do we have to get off to see the furthest? I don't know. You got the map, so it was a convergence of things. And so by the time, we rode that bus and we didn't get off and see anything. So we're starting to get frustrated at that point. Like, we got off to ride a bus around. This doesn't make sense. And then nobody could decide what they wanted to do. And so that was, I think that contributed to a lot of it. And then, it's, I don't know, it's just the way it was. But that was our biggest fight. And then fortunately we did go back to Key West and we had a really good day. We planned it out. It didn't go exactly as planned, but
it's that cruise life.
But we were better equipped to face the adversity than on our very first cruise. So
that's right.
But yeah, so people fight on a cruise. I think the big takeaway, not to highlight that people fight, but the big takeaway is that you got to work on your skills for resolving those fights. You don't want to stay mad on a cruise. Same thing in life. You don't want to go to bed angry.
Right.
You don't want to miss a shared experience with your loved one over something stupid.
Well, and what's a little scary too, right, is that sometimes if it escalates, right, you're in such small quarters. So it's really like you do need to just be calm. It's going to pass.
Yeah. I mean, we're not violent or anything.
Oh, no. No, I'm just saying.
But yeah, there is a proximity there where if somebody's making you mad, they're basically right there in your face.
Yeah, it's like you can't go anywhere. It's like, so I'll just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But which is not a good thing either.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to be angry walking around a cruise ship. I mean, cruise ships are very safe for the most part, but sometimes when you're angry, you can be disoriented, you can make bad decisions, and you don't want to be in a strange environment doing that. Walking around a cruise ship. So.
Right, and I think that's what I was trying to get at.
Oh, it sounded like you were trying to get at how you could hit me.
Would you stop?
All right, so if you're out there listening...
And you need to say that you're just joking.
I'm always just joking. No, the thing that let me close it out with this because let's close it out with this. Again, we'll say it one more time. Figure out the techniques that you need to resolve your issues so you're not mad on the cruise ship.
Right.
Talk about things in advance, set the ground rules, and then have some sort of system for resolving your conflict because it's just a waste of time anyways. You love that person that you're with. at the end of the day, for the most part, the other person's not trying to hurt your feelings. You just got two selfish people trying to figure out how to coexist together.
Right.
You know, people, for the most part, people aren't out there, you know, twirling their mustache like, how can I be the villain? How can I ruin your life? Nobody's, you know, for the most part in relationships, people aren't like that. I'm sure there are circumstances where people are like that, but I know in our relationship, we both care about each other's well-being, and we're not purposefully doing things to ruin each other's day.
Right.
It really is just that convergence of selfish people trying to live together. And so, so come up with some techniques and try not to get mad.
Yeah. Be a little selfless.
Selfless.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good word, Jenny. All right, let's close the book on the argument. I would love to hear if you ever had some crazy argument on the cruise. Was it any of these categories? Did you argue over money? Send us an email at tony@lidoloca.com or leave a comment on the video. I would love to see what kind of fights people get in, just so I don't feel like I'm the only one getting in fights on cruise ships.
No.
And then we got a special announcement.
We do.
We got a special announcement. If you would like to meet Jenny and I in person, there is an event that's being hosted by the Expedia cruise ship centers. They're having an Expedia Customer Appreciation Day.
Yeah, South Tampa.
They're having it in in the cruise terminal in Tampa, Cruise Terminal 6. That's going to be on February the 6th, and that's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and we will be there. So you can come hang out. You can come meet us. We can talk cruising together. If you're going to be there, though, we need to try to get a count. So send us an email. Send Jenny an email at jbarnette, that's JBARNETTE, at cruiseshipcenters.com.
That's right. Come hang out with us. And all those, you know, we're going to have a lot of cruise lines there, representatives, and they're going to be doing some special offers.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever done this, so I'm not sure what to expect, but it does sound like there's going to be some booths set up for different cruise lines, a little meet and greet with us, and yeah.
Little finger foods.
Yeah, and if you're new here, that is part of what we do for a business. Not only do we do creative things like make videos and that kind of thing, but we can also help you with your cruise travel or your travel.
That's right.
And so if you have any travel needs, you can reach out to Jenny at that same email address, jbarnette at cruiseshipcenters.com. It's a free service to use Jenny as a travel agent. So if you can get your travel questions answered, she can book your cruise, and it will cost you no more than if you do it yourself. So might as well, for free, get a second eyes on your booking.
Yes.
Jenny, could you look at my booking?
I will always look at your booking.
Not going to get mad at me, are you?
Nope.
You know who I wouldn't want looking at my booking?
Who's that?
So there was a news story. I made a video this week about a customer service rep for Celebrity Cruise Lines in Wichita, Kansas. Customers called up. This is I don't know when the story completely transpired. The end of the story happened just last week. Customer calls up a customer service rep in Kansas working for Celebrity Cruise Lines. They're trying to get some help with their booking. And during the conversation, the customer gets a little annoyed at the customer service rep, and they hang up on her. And so you've worked some customer service. If an angry customer hangs up on you, what do you normally do?
I just go to the next call.
Yeah, same here. Like, I've worked in a call center before. If a customer is angry with me, I might alert my manager. I might just shoot off an email saying, oh, I had a call that ended with the customer hanging up on me. This is why they were dissatisfied. Just want to give you a heads up in case they call. They call that CYA.
That's right. You always want to CYA.
You always want to CYA. So that's not what this young lady did. You know what she did?
What did she do?
She pulled out her personal cell phone and she called them back on the callback number and said, look, I know where you live, and I'm going to come and kill you and your family.
Oh, my goodness. Could you imagine?
I have never been that angry with another person where I would throw out the death threat.
No, I mean, how do you threaten somebody?
So this is what I'm saying. A good reason to use a travel agent is, for the most part, I don't think the travel agent's going to threaten your life.
No, and you know what? Sometimes when you're holding on that line for the cruise lines, you know, we do that for you.
That's a good point. I've seen you sit on, so somebody would have have problems. And they would say, oh, Jenny, can you check on this? I didn't get my onboard credit. Could you change my room? And I've seen you sit on hold for half an hour, 45 minutes. And, yeah, you saved that person hours out of their lives. So, again, another good reason to use a travel agent. But just to round out that story, just this past week, that young lady also had threatened her boss, who fired her for another reason with a death threat. And she pleaded guilty to not only threatening her boss, but threatening that family that she talked to on the phone. And now she's waiting to be sentenced for a federal crime. So she might get 5 years in prison and up to $250,000 in fines. But she might have some problems. I don't mean to sound insensitive to her, and so I'm probably just generalizing. But hopefully whatever issue she has, if she has some issues that need like mental health help or something like that, I hope she gets that. But it does sound like she's going to be held accountable for her actions. So that's crazy. What would you do if somebody called? Like, would you call? So say you're talking to a cruise line. I don't think the family reported it. I don't think this came up until after she got in trouble for something else, and then this surfaced. I'm pretty sure if somebody called and gave me a death threat, I would call the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wonder how it surfaced if she called from her cell phone.
Yeah, I don't know either. So, like, the way she got fired was a few days later. In a call center, your boss occasionally will sit down and review the calls with you. They record all the calls. So she got fired for another call. And then after she got fired, that's when she threatened the boss through Facebook. And then she re-threatened those people. So maybe they did call, but initially it didn't come up until she threatened the boss. I don't know I don't know what happened.
Well, and that's like you said, I hope there's no mental health issues.
Right.
But, and obviously there may not be if they're holding her accountable.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure they explore that.
Right.
So that's some crazy times.
I mean, like, I know I've been mad, with customer service people, but listen, they're just doing their job. Right.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what transpired? I try not to hang up on anybody, right? Even if they're rude, I try to, I can't think of the last time I've hung up on somebody.
I mean, and you know what, with cell phones?
Maybe you. I think I've hung up probably on you.
You probably have.
In a fight or something, like, since we were talking about that.
Well, and you don't really get such good feeling anymore when you're hanging up a phone. In the
There's
old
no
days,
satisfaction.
No, in the old days when you could slam the phone or rip the phone out of the wall when you're slamming it, it felt so good.
Yeah.
But like, who wants to do that to a $500 phone?
That's true. Well, and I know sometimes I get a bad rap for not being as aggressive as maybe I should, but I do believe in my core being that even if I'm nice and people take advantage of me, that's better off than being mean to get my way.
Right. You make me a better person.
No, I'm not saying that.
But you do. Like when you, like sometimes you will make my eyes open a different way.
Well, you make my eyes open a different way. That's the beautiful thing about a relationship, Jenny. We were both equally responsible for each other's awakenings.
Right.
You more so in the middle of the night than me, but.
What are you talking about?
Didn't mean for it to come out that way, but no, I'm just saying, like, I do believe that, you can resolve conflict without being a jerk. That's what I think. What else?
But you also have to have good customer service skills, right? Like, hopefully, these cruise lines, they go through a lot of good training. So,
right.
Hopefully you don't run into that again.
Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with people that, and what's interesting too is, from my experience in a call center, we worked for a call center, and if the customer ever escalated or used a curse language with you or threatened you, you could just end the call. And so I've heard some conspiracy theories out there that there are customer service reps that will try to take you to that edge so that they can get off the call.
Right.
Like, if I can get you mad enough to cuss at me, then I can just end the call and not have to deal with you anymore.
Oh, sometimes when I hear air on the phone, I always wondered why.
Yeah, they're trying to get you just mad or something like that. I don't know. It's a tough gig, but it shouldn't be with cruising. And I don't know, like, with our cruises, very rarely, I guess we've had to call to switch cruises and stuff like that. But fortunately, that's one of those things that once you get your deal set up, you don't have to call much. I know a lot of the calls lately is because of the cancellation of the Mardi Gras.
Right.
And that can be a challenge when your cruise gets canceled. The Mardi Gras is delayed coming out, the Carnival Mardi Gras. And so that put a lot of people that we know in a situation where they had to rebook their cruise. And what's interesting, the situation that's interesting to me is you can pay your cruise with a gift card, but those get to be challenging in these cancellation situations.
Yeah, so Carnival was super gracious with how they handled Mardi Gras rebookings. But I did have one client that had paid originally with some gift cards.
Right.
So when they go to refund that, so there was a cutoff time, that Carnival, whatever you paid, they would just put straight on to the booking.
Okay.
Like the new booking.
Right.
Unfortunately, this couple, we were really just doing a lot of different research because they were going to go to, I think Europe, I think it is, that next booking. So it took a little bit of time to figure out where do they really want to go, that sort of stuff. And then we passed the deadline of the funds just being put straight onto the booking.
Right.
So what we had to do was then get refunded to the gift cards.
And the way so I guess the big takeaway, so I followed that story when you went through it. Carnival's super good about making sure the money that you paid gets used or it gets returned to you in some fashion. And so if it's a credit card charge, so like you said, on the Mardi Gras, if you did it by a certain date, they would just take the funds that you already paid and apply it to a new booking.
Right.
If you missed the deadline and it was a credit card, they would just refund the credit card.
Right.
But so the interesting thing with the gift cards, and gift cards are great to use because a lot of times you can buy gift cards for a discount. You can get gift cards at AARP. Sometimes if you find them at a store that you have kind of a loyalty program with, I'm thinking that I don't know that I've seen cruise gift cards at Target, but Target's one of those places where
there is.
You can get a 5% discount.
With
and
the
so
red card.
Makes a lot of sense to use gift cards. But the only challenge with the cruise lines with the gift cards is if you have to get that money back, there's no electronic way for them to send that back to you. So they have to mail the gift card back.
Right. And that's where the unfortunate part comes, right? They have to do it snail mail.
Right.
And it's
pretty old school.
It is pretty old school. And I mean, quite honestly, they could do it electronically.
Right. It seems, but then they would have to get a credit card or a bank from you, or they just
No, they could do electronic gift cards.
Gift card, to your email.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that's something to look into. But I just wanted to share that story.
No, they don't do that.
Right.
But quite honestly, they can.
They could.
Yeah.
I wanted to share that story because I know a lot of people like to use gift cards, and sometimes in that cruise life, there's disruption, right? Like the Mardi Gras coming out delayed. And so that can cause some extra challenges. Absolutely.
And it's funny because it just depends on what customer service person I get to get some resolution, to that. And, quite like the last time I called, I asked for a supervisor.
Yeah.
And then that's when it got resolved to just mail the gift cards to the client.
Again, another good reason to use the travel agent is especially if they have connections with the different cruise lines. And so
absolutely
pretty cool. Another story that I covered this week in the news was there was an actress that claimed that she was attacked by bedbugs on a Princess cruise ship.
Right.
Now, I know that one of those things that we always talk about is I have to check the room for bed bugs. And how often do you think we do that? We were real in the beginning. Do you still check the room every time for some sort of
absolutely, I do.
Bugs?
Yeah, I mean, being in property management, I know exactly what to look for, right? So, you want to look for any markings on the walls and, on the sheets, and you want to lift up the mattress. I mean, it's very quick. It's like a minute.
Yeah, and so one thing that I didn't really mention in that video that I wanted to mention on the podcast today is I would not bring my bags into the room before you did that bed bug check.
Right.
because bed bugs are one of those things that attach to luggage and they like to travel around with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a good rule of thumb as you're going onto a cruise ship for the first time is before you carry anything, and like I'm the worst at, I might, I'll carry my bags in the room. But after I've been reading up on these bed bugs things, I think the first thing I would do is check the room for bed bugs before. Now, the occurrence of bed bugs on cruise ships are not a lot. It has happened, and it's still, there's a lawsuit going on with this lady to see if that's what the situation is on this Princess cruise ship. But I don't think it's like something super scary to worry about, but it's so easy to check for that I think if, you should add that to your cruise checklist is checking the room.
Absolutely, because it just takes one.
Right.
You bring one home and forget about it. That's number one. And you don't want to get eaten by these things. That's number two. But they're so hard to get rid of. It's very expensive to get rid of them.
I think only heat kills them, right? So I've heard people do high heat drying to kill stuff.
Yeah, and they're coming out with different processes, but right now the heat process is, the best.
I've heard people having to throw all their clothes away and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like when we would find them in apartments, like the prep is just horrendous.
Yeah, to get them out of an apartment.
Yeah, you just don't want that.
How does that work in an apartment building? Are they likely to spread to other apartments?
Absolutely.
Like, can it mess a whole building up?
Oh yeah, like there's different levels of them, right? And then some people just don't. It's like, how did you not report this?
Right.
When they're at a level 5 and you can see them.
I'm sure it's embarrassing. Like, who wants to say I got bugs in my house?
But that's
or
it, though. Like it is not. It's not like a.
It's not a hygiene thing.
No. Like the person that like this is a for instance they worked. I don't know if they worked, but like they were shopping like at an Old Navy or a New York and Company, like a retail store.
Yeah.
And they brought a bed bug home.
Oh wow.
So that's it. It's very easy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of those situations where you want to check your room, and if you see anything out of sorts, immediately report it to housekeeping and report it to customer service.
Right. And you know what? I do believe, like how I did in property management, there's inspections, right? Like we used to go in and do an inspection, move out, move in, and quarterly. I am sure that the cruise lines have some kind of inspection in place.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's Princess's statement on this lawsuit. Hey, we're in the room twice a day.
Right.
Everybody is trained on how to spot for bed bugs.
And they're changing sheets.
Sheets. And so they're pushing back saying, I doubt that this lady was, attacked by bed bugs. But again, that'll play out. But Princess made a very clear statement saying, this is something that we check for.
Right.
Bed bugs on the cruise ship. Ugh. We've been fortunate. I can't think of a room that we went into that was like significantly unclean, and definitely never any.
No, we've been super lucky.
Super lucky.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that we talked about over at the Lido Loca cruise show, that's our main YouTube channel. Make sure that you check that out. Link in the description. We talked about people being offended by adult type things on a cruise ship. Now, I have seen some comments on that video that not everybody realized there are these kind of activities. So,
right.
So we talked about it earlier, like that Quest game show. It's a little racy. We experienced that on Carnival, on Royal Caribbean. And we've been on 5 different cruise lines, and I think every one of the cruise lines have a love and marriage show.
Right.
And while that's not super racy, it is racy. I mean, it's a little past PG. I
agree.
And so adult comedy is a place where you're going to hear some sort of racy conversation, that kind of thing. And it's interesting that there are people that aren't, it's not interesting that there aren't people that are into it. It's understandable that there are people that aren't into that kind of entertainment. But there was a story where this couple went to the Quest on P&O in Australia.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of it, all the ladies dressed up all the guys to look like women. They put makeup on them. They paraded them around. They danced. And these people said it ruined their cruise because they were exposed to semi-pornographic material by these men cross-dressing and dancing around. Now, the interesting thing, and they were offended. The interesting thing about these shows that have an adult theme is they warn you. At least that's been our experience.
Absolutely.
They say, look, this is, if you're easily offended, if you don't like things of a racy or sexual nature, leave now.
Right.
So what do you think? Do you think there is a place on cruise ships for this kind of... Do you think it's appropriate for shows like The Quest and Love and Marriage and To me, the cruise ship is, well, what do you think? Do you think that these things are too intrusive, or do you think they're just right, or what do you think about these kind of shows on a cruise ship?
I mean, for me, I think that they give you the warning up front.
Yeah.
Usually, these things are later at night,
Right.
so the children, are not around, and if you're an adult and you're getting a warning beforehand, and you feel that it's going to offend you, you should walk out.
Right. I agree. So for me, there is I don't know that.
And let me just interrupt you for just a minute. I'm sorry. So say I go out onto the Lido deck and, I don't think they should do those things in public areas, right?
Right.
Like the movies, that kind of thing. But, maybe people are out there watching Mary Poppins. Well, maybe that offends me because I don't like singing and dancing. And you know what I mean? And that's the bottom line, right? Everybody's going to be offended somehow, some way, but get yourself out of that situation.
I think the cruise ships do a good job of warning people
Absolutely
about that kind of thing. To me, like, I want to say this the right way, but there is a sexy component to vacationing.
Absolutely.
Right? And regardless of what your views on sexiness is, right? I'll dance around it the best that I can. To ignore that,
Bow chicka wow wow.
to ignore that that's part of the human experience, sexual desire,
Absolutely.
sexual interaction.
Okay.
I think would be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the cruise line there's some sexual tension that I think happens on cruises, right? You got people that are, attractive people that are, having fun. People are drinking, people are dancing. Sometimes a good meal will get you in the mood for that kind of thing.
A good bingo.
A good meal, yeah, a big jackpot on a slot machine. There's all kinds of things that can trigger that in humans. And so I think the cruise line, they provide an outlet a little bit for that sexual tension. And so maybe it's the love and marriage show where everybody can laugh a little bit about an innuendo or something like that. I think you got to have it. I think if not, I think you got to have it because there's people that want it.
I mean, absolutely. And just like people want bingo,
right,
or people want a casino. I think it's just part of the cruise life.
I think it's part of life in general. And I think by ignoring, there's people out there that are like, oh, never, that kind of thing. I'm super offended. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I've been watching the comments on this video, and there are people that are mad. It's so weird, right? Like, we live in a nation where you have freedom of speech and freedom of thought, and there are people that are like, oh, you don't have the right to be offended, and so there are people that are offended by these kind of shows. People are offended that, oh, you should never go on a cruise if you're offended by the love and marriage show. I don't think that's the right approach either. I think in that cruise life, you're going to get a diverse group of people. And like you said, somebody's going to be offended about something. And I think that you have to build an environment where you can have all of those things. So I think the cruise lines do a great job of that. They put the warnings up. And if you're somebody that's going to be offended by those kind of shows, there's something else for you to do. But at the same time, I don't think that we should discount the fact that people are offended and, just say you should never cruise.
I don't think they should never cruise. But don't be offended. Like I said, don't keep yourself in that situation,
right,
of feeling offended, and don't be offended by people that actually are enjoying themselves.
Right. That's what everybody cruises in their own way. Like, I guess me personally, I'm not mad at the person that's offended and removes himself from the situation, and I'm not mad at the person that likes to go and have a great time at those shows. Those are both people that have valid opinions, that have valid feelings, and I wouldn't discount either one of them. Just like I would say that if all you want to do is go on a cruise and party, then you shouldn't go on a cruise because that's not a great reason to cruise. And if you're somebody who doesn't want to partake in the that kind of thing, I don't think you should say those people shouldn't cruise.
Right.
So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'm fascinated by it because such a time where everybody's super sensitive about how people are being offended and those kind of things. It would be neat to run a business like the cruising industry has to run a business where you have to balance all those things.
Yeah, I think they're doing the right thing, right? Like they give you a warning. It may be offensive, but, just go do your thing.
That frown you give me in the morning sometimes is offensive.
Oh, stop.
I like it.
My frown?
I like everything about you, Jenny. And so let's talk about one more thing today.
Okay,
we are 48 days from going on the Norwegian breakaway. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that I'm thankful for is YouTube. We are in that cruise life because of YouTube.
That's right.
And we are in that cruise life because before people go cruising, they like to look at cruising. They like to look at cruise ships. They like to find out about destinations. Mm-hmm. And then there's people that have gone cruising that like to hear people talk about cruising.
That's right.
They like to see other people go cruising. They like to talk about the cruise news. That's where we're living every day. We're here to try to service both of those people. If you've never been on a cruise, I want to make some videos to share with you that's going to help you before you go on a cruise. And if you've been on a cruise 100 times, I want to make some sort of video that's going to entertain you, make you think, maybe help you learn something new, or just entertain you.
Right.
So I love all that. But now, personally, we're going on the NCL breakaway.
Right.
How much research in advance, now that you've cruised several times, like on the first cruise, I know you watched tons of videos on the fantasy, that kind of thing. Where are you at in that now that you've cruised several times? Are you bird dogging the breakaway to find out what that ship's all about?
I think because we've not sailed on NCL before, I have at least been looking at ship tours. Uh-huh. Just so I don't waste any time when I get on there.
Do you worry that it's going to... So one of my favorite cruise moments for us was the first time that we witnessed the Oasis of the Seas.
Right.
Like one of the first times we got off the elevator and we saw Central Park and we saw how grand that the Oasis of the Seas was, and it took my breath away.
And I just got chills of remembering that moment.
Where I'm at now is I very rarely look at the ships that we're going to go on because I'm afraid that there's a moment of wonder out there like that for me that I'm going to miss. So I'm always wondering, am I doing myself a disservice by not researching the ship before I go on it, or am I messing up that wonderment for me by over research? I wonder what the sweet spot is for that.
I think that I think I've watched 2 ship tours. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I want that moment, and I think we get it. Excuse me. I think we get it every time we get on the ship.
Right.
But I remember that moment when what you're talking about on the Oasis, that we just looked over into Central Park from that glass wall. Right. And it was just like breathtaking.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was honestly amazing. So what advice would you give? So I remember like early on in this thing, I would tell people, oh, go watch as much as you can.
Right.
But I'm on the fence about it now. Like, you've been on enough cruises. Don't you have the skills to go on any ship without seeing it first and figure it out?
Yeah, but I'm just afraid I'm going to miss something and not be able to bring it to people.
Yeah.
I think that's
but if
why
you weren't worrying about like filming or showing the ship,
I probably wouldn't watch anything.
Yeah, because I really do believe that if you've never been on a cruise before, watch a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
But I feel like after you've gone on a few, you have the skills to understand how to find the muster station, how to find your dining experience, how to find your cabin, those kind of things. I'm almost saying don't watch anything. You want to make sure you make a plan, right? This is one thing that sometimes first-time cruisers, they make a mistake. They don't make a plan, and you can just sit in your cabin all day or just sit out in the atrium all day and miss everything that's happening. So I think when it comes to activities on the cruise or the ports that you're going to, plan that out and do that. But as far as exploring the ship prior to getting on the ship, I'm almost going to say wait until you get on the ship, because that's a very fun part for me of that cruise life, is that ship exploration.
Right. And, I've looked at the breakaway in the past. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked at it recently. With what I do, and I'm booking clients, there are a lot of times that I go and look at things before I place them.
Yeah.
Like on a certain ship or that sort of stuff. So that, like, mine is
You're
more
part of
research
it.
for my job.
Yeah, you do have to kind of do that more than I do. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I think I'm going to go spoiler free. I'm going to try not to watch much on the breakaway until.
Well, and I think that's good for you too, right? Because you enjoy bringing it to people from your own voice,
Right. I like to bring it from my perspective, and
right.
so yeah, I try not. I'm like that with a lot of like cruise videos and stuff like that. I like to watch. We have friends that are creators and stuff like that. I do my best to watch those videos, but I really try my best to not have my own take. Not to have my own take kind of tainted by somebody else's take.
Right.
Because I want my own unique look at it. It's an interesting
Because
thing.
you're unique.
You're unique.
Thank you.
You're unique.
You're unique.
Well, we talked about a lot of stuff today, Jenny. Again, highlight that we are going to be in Tampa on February the 6th. Open to the public. Just send us an email, jbarnette@cruiseshipcenters.com. If you want to come out and meet us, it's going to be right there at the cruise port. I'm assuming there would be a cruise ship in at the time, or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe it's just in
I
the
think
terminal.
it's just in the terminal.
Might be a cool way to see the terminal without having to go through the process of a cruise.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. This podcast is in video form. We would invite you to come join the Lido Loca Cruise Podcast YouTube channel. It's an offshoot of our main Lido Loca Cruise Show YouTube
so make
channel.
sure you subscribe and hit that notification button on that channel.
There's a lot of ways to get us, but those are a couple main ones, the main channel and the podcast channel. We got merchandise, we got t-shirts. We'll leave a link in the description if you want to represent the Loca fam. And come join us over on Facebook at the Lido Loca Cruising Community. 10,000 plus strong cruisers over there talking cruising. It's really where the Loca fam lives. You can support the podcast. You can support our creativity on Patreon. We've got some special features for people that are on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Lido Loca. Book your travel with Jenny. So many ways to get plugged into the Loca fam. All that information will be in the show notes and in the description below. Well, Jenny, our first episode here at the new HQ in Spring Hill, Florida.
That's right.
Are you glad to be in Florida?
I am.
Are you? We're smack in the middle of a lot of family and friends, lifelong family and friends.
Yeah.
Right? That's a plus. We're smack in the middle of cruise country. We can go to 5-6 different cruise ports. I lost the count. And it's not snowing. So there's we're in January. I'm very excited to be in Florida. I'm very excited to see what the next chapter is. And glad to be making the podcast again. Hopefully we'll never have a 2-week break again, but it had to be done.
And thank you for not leaving me in Key West.
Yes.
Although I would have probably been able to get back because it is the United States, but.
Yeah. That's one thing, no matter how mad you get or something, you got to take care of the people that you're with. And
that's right.
We do.
You always do.
We do a good job of that. So. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for stopping by the podcast. Again, my name's Tony.
And I'm Jenny.
And we are Lido Loca. And until the next time.
We'll see you on the Lido.
We'll see you on the Lido.
Bye.
Bye.